Greetings all, this is Hairy Nick back on FFG's X-Wing page because we have the final reveal article of Wave 12/13 out today. This is Space Superiority, a preview of the TIE Silencer expansion pack. And I really like that they've called this article Space Superiority because that's essentially what this craft is to a T. It arguably has the best stats of any small base ship in the game. It's going to be insane. Let's get right to it. Let's take a look at the spread. And here it is. So in this article, we've had everything revealed but the two generic pilots. Again, I just want to voice my displeasure. I'm not a fan of how FFG do this. I really wish they would just reveal everything in these articles. I don't see the advantage of not doing that, but whatever, that's what they do. We do have both the unique pilots revealed, we have all of his upgrade revealed, and we have the dial revealed. Let's go through that all right now. First of all, we'll just have another quick look at the dial. Here it is up on the screen. I actually did a video on this yesterday because it was leaked, and if you want to see my first impressions on that and compare it to some of the other dials in the game, go take a look at that video. But essentially, this is the best small ship dial in the game. Probably the best dial in the game, full stop. It is insane, it's explosive, it's going to make the ship so powerful, it's going to make combo so well with push the limits or anything else that wants to take stress. Auto thrusters, prime thrusters, advanced sensors, all that kind of stuff. This dial just unlocks the full potential of these upgrades and it is absolutely going to be insane. Now, having a look at these pilots here, we don't have the generic, so I'm going to talk about the raw frame as we look at the first unique, which is this guy here. Test Pilot Blackout. I just want to say as well, it's kind of interesting that we have the sort of job description of the pilot in the name, Test Pilot Blackout. It's the equivalent of like having Mustache Aficionado Biggs or that farmer kid that we gave the keys to an X-Wing because we were desperate for pilots, Luke. But anyway, this is Test Pilot Blackout. He looks insane. And look, generally when we're talking about aces, we usually look at the pilot skill 7 and go, oh yeah, this guy won't get played. We want to generally play the guy with the higher pilot skill. Kylo Ren, the other pilot, has pilot skill 9, which is just super relevant with everything that's going on with this ship. However, we do have to appreciate the fact that this is 4 points cheaper than Kylo, and that's not something to turn your nose up at. You get the full package of what's going on with this ship for 31 points, pilot skill 7, APT. That is still very, very competitive. Now, before we go into the pilot ability, let's have a look at the ship overall. 3 red dice, 3 green dice, 4 hull, 2 shield, action bars, focus, target lock, barrel roll, boost, and the upgrade bar is systems and tech. Of course, on these unique pilots, we also have APTs. And along with that dial, that is just insane. This is the first small base ship with the system and tech slot. The article here actually says it's the first ship with systems and tech, which is not true. The Upsilon class shuttle had those, but this is the first small base ship that can take it. And indeed, it's very relevant on this ship. Again, because of that dial, because this is essentially an ace platform, we can take things like advanced sensors, push the limits, alongside prime thrusters. Advanced sensors, push the limits, in case you guys aren't aware, has always been an explosive combo. Very good on IGs, very good on Star Vipers, for example. It basically means you can take 2 actions before your ship moves. You then reveal a green maneuver and can clear the stress. So you can take 2 actions and not have any stress at the end of the activation phase, which is so powerful. And now we can do that through stress as well. It means that if we stress out from push the limits during the activation phase and we don't clear it, the next turn, even though we have a stress on the ship, we can still use advanced sensors and boost or barrel roll, which is something we've never been able to do before. And again, the utterly explosive potential this ship has on its upgrades is just nuts. It's not just about that dial, it's about this combination of upgrades, and it is just so relevant for everything going on here. Let's go on to the pilot ability of Blackout. When attacking, if the attack is obstructed, the defender rolls 2 fewer defense dice, 2 at a minimum of 0, of course, because you can't physically roll -1 dice, FFG. And this is so interesting because, as I was talking about before, we have that push the limit advanced sensor combo, and that just makes so much sense on this guy. It means you can pretty reliably get his shot firing through rocks every turn if you manage to cluster up the rocks correctly and fly the sky well. One thing I like about this pilot ability is it rewards good flies. If you can abuse this, if you can really use the rocks on the battlefield to your advantage, this guy's going to do a lot of work for you. I would like to point out as well, and some of you guys have actually mentioned this as well, is that this guy is a great candidate for trick shot. I will say though, I'm a little bit unsure about this simply because it's going all in on the strategy, and it's really going to sting you when you don't get those through the rock shots. Your opponent might just play around it effectively, which means your APT and your pilot ability are null and void, which doesn't feel good. Push limits to me feels like a better sort of all-round upgrade that's going to work in a lot of different situations. And that really comes down to the way you want to fly. There's no right answer as to which one's better or worse. One of them goes all in and goes for hard synergy. Another one goes for a sort of a hedging your bets kind of strategy, and both are very relevant. And of course, I don't think I need to say Veteran Instinct's also very powerful in this guy. Pilot Skill 9, with that ability, Advanced Sensors, is going to be very explosive. It's going to mean that you're going to get him behind rocks. He's going to have Pilot Skill 9, he's going to have the arc dodging capabilities. And the fact of the matter is, as I said before, this guy is 4 points cheaper than Kylo Ren. These builds only come out at the high 30s mark, and that's very, very, very competitive. Kylo Ren's builds tend to come out at the low 40s, just with what we've been experimenting with so far. So don't disregard Blackout. I don't think I would be so keen on him if he only costs, say, 1 or 2 points less than Kylo Ren, but because there's a full 4 points less, I think he's going to be super relevant and absolutely worth flying. The next and last unique pilot here we have, of course, is Kylo Ren. Now, we've been through this guy before, but we'll go through it again in this video. 35 points, Pilot Skill 9, APT. The first time you are hit by an attack each round, assign the I'll show you the dark side condition to the attacker. The I'll show you the dark side condition, of course, pulls out any damage card with the pilot trait on it out of your opponent's damage deck, places it under I'll show you the dark side. The next time they're dealt a critical damage, they take that damage card instead, even if they still have shields. And that's really powerful. But having this ability on an ace is very, very odd. A lot of you are really down on this. I have to admit, I was quite down on this the first time I saw it. But the way I look at this is a great defensive ability, and it's easy to say, no, this is not how we want to fly aces. We don't want aces to get hit. But the more I look at it, the more I think about it, I realise that there probably are really good potential build-arounds for it. And at the end of the day, even if the pilot ability is not super relevant, he still is Pilot Skill 9, and on this platform, that is just utterly insane. I cannot stress that enough. Pilot Skill 9 on the TIE Silencer, that action bar, those upgrades, those stats, that dial is just bonkers. And at the end of the day, you could probably fly him and not use the I'll show you the dark side card and still have an explosive, powerful ship. Sure, he might not be worth the full 35 points you're paying for him, but just wow, this is such an explosive ship. Now, of course, Kylo is also capable of taking that push the limits advanced sensors build I was talking about before. It just makes perfect sense. It means you get perfect precision positioning, even though you don't need to line up shots through a rock. I mean, at the end of the day, that's still really, really powerful. But there definitely are other builds we can take a look at. In fact, let's take a look at a new card that comes in the pack. This is Threat Tracker. When an enemy ship inside your firing arc at range 1 to 2 becomes the active ship during the combat phase, you may spend your target lock on that ship to perform a free boost or barrel roll action if that action is on your action bar. And I probably don't need to say this, but that is an amazing combo with fire control systems. And those two cards on Kylo Ren just make all the sense in the world. If you take Veteran Instincts on Kylo Ren, it means he's Pilot Skill 11. It means he's pretty much always going to shoot first, get a target lock on the defender. When they come to activate, he takes a free boost or barrel roll and potentially just completely arc dodging them, which is just insane. A lot of you have been concerned, and this is a concern for me as well, that because he is so expensive, at the end of the day, he still just does die to direct damage like any other ship does. He still just dies to bombs like any other ship does. And I look at this Threat Tracker upgrade and I think this goes a long way to mitigating that. Because similar to, say, Whisper on the Phantom, this is a way of shooting and then completely dodging your opponent's attack. It's very similar to Advanced Cloaking Device in that regard. And if you take a look at all the different platforms Threat Tracking can go onto, it just makes the most sense on the TIE Silencer because all the other platforms do not have boost and barrel roll, they only have boost or barrel roll. And at the end of the day, I think you're going to want both just to be extra safe. Now, just before we move on to the rest of these upgrade cards, I want to talk about a list archetype that a lot of us, me included, have been so excited for, and that is the Rack Kylo Ren on the TIE Silencer build. Now, Rear Admiral Shenru with Kylo Ren as a crew has always been really powerful ever since that combination was an option. And now we can take Kylo Ren as a pilot, and it kind of changes the dynamic of what's going on. I know Justin, for example, has been talking about this. He's not so keen, basically because he, like many other people, like the ability to just use the Kylo Ren "I'll show you the dark side" assigning as an action. It means you have more control over it. The way I see this combo with Kylo and Rear Admiral Shenru is you basically want to force your opponent to have two really bad options to shoot. If they shoot Kylo Ren, they will get "I'll show you the dark side," or they'll miss. Both bad situations. And if they shoot Rear Admiral Shenru, there are downsides you can give them as well. And personally, I quite like the card Isanis Sard, because she gives Rear Admiral Shenru a lot more defensive capabilities. If your opponent focus fires Rear Admiral Shenru, she can potentially keep him alive 1, potentially 2 turns more than he'd otherwise survive, and that is super, super explosive. It means that both of these ships are working together. Sure, you don't get that combo of Kylo and Rear Admiral Shenru assigning "I'll show you the dark side," but nevertheless, they're both still potent abilities. And forcing your opponent to take a line of action they may not have originally wanted to take is still a very powerful game strategy. Now, this article launched this morning, and during today I've been having a think about the different approach to these kind of builds, and I just thought I'd show a couple of ideas I've had, just to kind of get the creative juices flowing in you guys. If you have a suggestion about how to build Kylo and Rak, or indeed any other build using the Tile Silencer, let me know. But in terms of Kylo or Rak, I look at these two different builds here in front of you, and it's really what I think these ships are trying to do. Here's the Push the Limits Advanced Sensor combo on Kylo Ren, and what I've done here is I've given Rear Admiral Shenru adaptability so we can pilot skill match Kylo Ren. This means that we have both ships activating at pilot skill 9, and also exposes a really excellent combo with advanced sensors and push the limits. And any of you guys that have flown robots with advanced sensors will know this dirty tactic of taking an action with advanced sensors, stressing to push the limits, doing a green maneuver and bumping into your own ship, but the bump is inconsequential because you've already taken 2 action and cleared your stress. And that means you can use Rear Admiral Shenru as a blocker, and you can fly Kylo Ren a bit slower and give him better positioning options, because you can basically sit in behind Rear Admiral Shenru, while Rear Admiral Shenru just sits in front and acts like a cannon, which is super, super powerful. It worked great with Bobots, and I see this working really great here as well. The other combination I've been looking at uses Veteran Instincts on both ships, and rather than advanced sensors on Kylo Ren, we're looking at Fire Control System and the Threat Tracker. Just makes so much sense with Veteran Instincts. Getting up to pilot skill 11, the Threat Tracker and Fire Control System combo is so powerful there. This also frees up a few more points, and it means we can get the title onto Kylo Ren, which is this, the First Order Vanguard. And basically these two builds with Rear Admiral Shenru are exposing, I think, 2 of the best combinations we can put on the Tile Silencer. But you guys may disagree. You might think we need to sink more points into Rear Admiral Shenru. It's something I want to play around with for a bit longer, but for the time being, let me know in the comments what you think of these builds and suggest ways we can probably improve upon these. Alright, let's snake our way through these upgrade cards. First of all, we have 2 copies of the Threat Tracker. Excellent, we got spares for our old ship. We have 2 copies of Auto Thrusters and 2 copies of Prime Thrusters. And FFG, thumbs up 1,000 times. These are reprints we badly needed, not just in the Imperial faction, but Auto Thrusters, especially with Imperial Aces, but Prime Thrusters as well. It's only available in Heroes of the Resistance up to this point, and only as a single copy in a pack that cost 80 Australian dollars, which, look, made me super salty because I really want one for my quad jumper. And the fact that we get 2 of them in this pack on a ship that is super relevant, it absolutely has builds that like Prime Thrusters. Yeah, absolutely massive thumbs up, massive props to you guys. Thank you for reprinting these cards in a pack that's super relevant for them. I'll show you the Dark Side Condition card. We have a copy of Sensor Jammer, which is interesting. I can't see it getting much use on this ship, but it's another reprint. It's not bad. We have this new card, and this is Debris Gambit. And this is a card that we pretty much knew the rough idea of what it was going to do. It was always going to be about flying near asteroids and netting a bunch of evade tokens depending on how many you're near. But sort of the variation on how that triggers, whether it's an action, whether it happens start of combat, was all a bit of an unknown. And this is how the card reads. It costs 2 points. It's an EPT. Action. Assign 1 evade token to your ship for each obstacle at range 1. to a maximum of 2 evade tokens, and I gotta say I'm disappointed with this. I was really hoping if it was going to cost 2 or 3 points, it would be an automatic start of combat phase. You get so many evade tokens depending on how many asteroids you're near. I just feel like for a cost of 2 and it takes up an action, I mean, the TIE Silencer probably doesn't want this because it has so many other actions it wants to take. Push the limits is just so much more relevant. Even if you had this and push the limits somehow, even though you can't, it still is getting in the way of all the other super relevant actions the ship wants to take. The ship doesn't want to take experimental interface because it wants to take auto thrusters. And that's just a bit disappointing. I don't know where this card is coming from. It's just so disappointing to me that this costs an action. I don't think this is going to find a home, even on the SF fighter, even on the FO fighter. It can go on the T-70 X-Wing. It can't go on the Resistance Bomber because that's a large ship. And, I mean, look, I look at this and think, nah, this card just doesn't have a home. It doesn't have a ship that wants to take it. And it's just disappointing that it's not some kind of automatic action. Because if this just gave you automatic evade tokens each turn, it would be relevant on the Silencer because the Silencer has no evade action. But as it is, I just don't think this card's going to see play, unfortunately. Continuing on through the spread, we have a couple of copies of Advanced Optics. Now, I talked about this card in the reveal article for the Resistance Bomber, but just so you guys know, it's a 2-point tech upgrade. It reads you cannot be assigned more than 1 focus token, and at the end of the turn, you don't get rid of your focus tokens. Super powerful, it's going to be amazing on Poe Dameron. It's going to be good on just about any ship it's on. I look at that ability, retaining focus tokens is very powerful. It's going to be good on the TIE Silencer, frankly, but I just don't think it's going to be what the TIE Silencer wants. Considering it has Threat Tracker and Prime Thrusters, I just don't think Advanced Optics is going to be ideal for it, but it's absolutely a good card and it's going to be amazing on other ships. Okay, and the last card we have here is First Order Vanguard. This is the ship's title, costs 2 points, it's unique. When attacking, if the defender is the only ship in your firing arc at range 1 to 3, you may reroll 1 attack die. Cool, kind of a pseudo-predator going on there. I like that. When defending, you may discard this card to reroll all of your defense dice. I gotta say, I really like this card. It's basically a pseudo-predator. It's a great panic button if you happen to blank out on your green dice. And it's just doing a decent amount of work. It's a nice balanced 2-point card. But I gotta say, compared to everything else that can go on this ship, this is just a bit meh and middle of the road. If I'm looking at a build on my TIE Silencer and I need to shave points, this is probably the first thing that's going to go every time. I'm pretty much always going to want to take one of those explosive EPTs, the Threat Tracker or Prime Thrusters, Fire Control System or Advanced Sensors. I can't see myself cutting those cards because of the insane synergy they have with this ship. This card is okay, and it's going to help the ship, but the ship's not going to be a lot worse off for not having it. Indeed, as you saw before, guys, with the Advanced Sensors push limit build, that really forces the ship into a very high points cost. And I think in those examples, we probably just don't want First Order Vanguard. It just pushes the ship up to a too high point cost. It's a great card, but I don't think it's going to be an auto add in every build. And that is it. That is the TIE Silencer. I really feel like FFG have saved the best to last here. Look, this is a super explosive, exciting ship. I'm a Scum player primarily, and I'm probably going to fly against this way more than I fly with it. But I don't care, because it's exciting. And at the end of the day, that's what's most important for the game. It's fun, and look, at the end of the day, it is a very expensive ship. It is equal to the most expensive small ship in the game. The most expensive pilot cost 35 points. We don't know what the cheapest pilot cost, but he's a generic pilot skill 4. He might have an EPT. We don't know if the generics have EPTs. But I can't expect a massive point reduction here. Probably high 20s, 28, 29, I would think, for the pilot skill 4 guy. It's going to be a relatively tight band of points cost simply because there's not a huge gap between the pilot skills here. But in any case, if I'm to be honest, I don't think the generic pilots are going to see play because the named pilots are super relevant, and having a high pilot skill on this platform with that dial, with those upgrades, is just so good. I'm just calling it right now, guys. I think this ship alongside Rear Admiral Shenru, possibly even with either pilots, is going to be so powerful. It's going to be, in my opinion, a powerful Imperial list. I was very, very smug and happy at the end of the last wave because I predicted that, hey, Miranda and Nim is going to be a powerful list, and lo and behold, that took the American National. So I'm calling it now. Kylo and Rak is going to be the next powerhouse list in the game of X-Wing, and look, Imperials have been out of the meta for quite a long time, and I think they deserve a bit of a comeback. Between this and the Assault Gunboat, I see good things on the horizon for the Imperial faction. Anyway, guys, I've fanboyed on far too long. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe, like our Facebook page, and I will catch you later.